Hello. How's it going? We're back. I'm just gonna make this a little bigger. Hope everyone's night's going good. Or every one viewer. Might be me. I don't know. I'll have to check. But I have to check YouTube too, so hope everyone's having a good night. Well, as you can tell, we're doing Avengers Doomsday. Okay, I think that'll work. Okay, that's not bad. Let me start recording. So I'll put up a high quality breakdown of each. Alright, that music is done. So let's see, desktop audio's on. Hopefully the mic is decent. I guess I could set this up better. Don't know where my aux cable is. That's not in the case. So we'll do it like this. Hopefully I'm not too loud, not too quiet. I guess we might take a look at Wonder Man. Okay, well, let's see. Playlists, Avengers Doomsday. 5 videos. This came out a day ago. Wow, okay. Guess I have a bad cough. Alright, we'll just start here. Work our way back. But I think we should go from the clock back, but we'll do it like this. Okay. Why was that muted? That... okay. That's insane.
I've lost everyone that matters to me. The king has his duties to prepare our people for the afterlife. I have mine.
King M'Baku of Wakanda.
Ben, Yancey Street, between Broome and Grand.
Okay, so that's the first video. That's insane. It's Fantastic Four, and I guess the armies of Wakanda. It's just going for it.
Death comes for us all.
Who is that?
That's all I know for sure.
That's Doctor Strange.
The
Was that Professor X at the start?
question isn't, are you prepared to die?
It is.
The question is, who will you be when you close your eyes?
That's a very good question.
The question is, who will you be when you close your eyes?
More people should ask themselves that. That's a deep one. Truce. Peace to save the world. Different universe. Were they friends? What's going on here? Well, what? Oh. Okay, and I think that's better. So I can actually look at the camera. Jesus. That sounds okay. So that sounds insane. The X-Men will return in Avengers Doomsday. But the X-Men and second one down. Third.
Father, all my life, I have answered every call. To honor, duty, to war. But now fate has given me something I never sought. A child.
Interesting how destiny lays things on people who don't want them.
A life untouched by the storm. Learn to be the strength of the old fathers. fight once more, defeat one more enemy, and return home to her. Not as a warrior, but as warmth. To teach her not battle, but stillness. The kind I never knew. Please, Father, heed my words.
Oh. Wait, what? That's the third? Okay, yeah, that was the third. This is fourth now. And then fifth is just the clock. All the fathers now. All fajas. Okay, that's a pretty good lineup. Yeah, we're not watching this. Even though it goes back 11. So, oh, okay. So they just do a new day every day. Damn. That's a lot of pre-recorded videos. 2 videos a day for 11 months. That's commitment. Ooh. Might do an outdoor boys. But first, a follow-up to last week. Come on.
That work.
Hold up. What?
A high-level music producer that worked with the likes of Drake and Justin Bieber ran a sex trafficking ring while Las Vegas detectives sat back and watched for over a decade without bringing any charges. And when the feds finally arrested him, a model that was going to be a star witness was found dead before the trial. And when a local judge tried to expose one of his associates who was recruiting the daughters of law enforcement officials into the sex trade, it cost her her job and her life. Now, in the last video I did on Las Vegas, I discussed Melanie Andres Tobiasen, a judge that lost her position for committing multiple ethics violations in an effort to protect her daughter, who
He went deeper. He went deep. I guess we'll just sit here.
she suspected had become a target of a man, Shane Valentine, that was known to recruit the daughters of law enforcement officials into the sex trade. But what I failed to realize while making that video is how all of this could have been tied into a much larger conspiracy involving a very connected man in the music industry. Now, the daughters of judges and police officers had seemingly been targeted to compromise their parents, as judges are expected to recuse themselves from cases involving close family members, especially involving their child. And although it's a bit different for a police officer, a case involving one of their children would definitely be considered a conflict of interest. In my last video, I brought up Frankie and Ariane Zapia, the stepdaughters of a now retired Las Vegas police officer who had also worked in prostitution. And it's ironic because their stepfather, Officer Dano Giersdorf, briefly worked in the Vice Unit, which was created to work cases involving the sex trade. But according to the Nevada Current and a statement from Judge Melanie given to the Baltimore Post-Examiner, Shane also lured Morgan Leavitt, daughter of Judge Michelle Leavitt, into prostitution. And this is where the mob briefly makes an appearance. Around the same time in 2015, when Judge Melanie suspected her daughter might be a target, she came across a case where a judge's daughter, Morgan Leavitt, had been beaten by two women, and one of the women accused was Sophia Faraci. Not only was Valentine one of the four men that came to intimidate the judge's daughter in court, but he was also the one directing Faraci and the other woman as they were beating Michelle. Sophia Faraci was the daughter of Vinnie Faraci, who was an enforcer for the Bonanno crime family. And Vinnie was also the manager of a strip club called Crazy Horse 2 until it was raided by the FBI and the DEA. So clearly, Shane was not just an ordinary criminal. But unfortunately, Sophia never made it to court because she died in a crash on July 2nd, 2015 when she was speeding without wearing a seatbelt. But according to a 2014 arrest, she was also working as a prostitute, possibly for Shane Valentine, which is crazy considering she was the daughter of a mob enforcer. But the judge soon learned that Shane Valentine was seemingly being protected, as no matter what she told the police about him, they never went after him. And the same with Molly Mall, because if we go back a few years before this, a sergeant with the Las Vegas Metro Police, Norm John, was running the place on a Rolls Royce that came back to a Jamal Rashid, or Molly Mall. John emailed another sergeant asking if the vice.
Why is he going so in depth? This is insane. We'll keep watching.
Unit had ever heard of this guy, and he was told to back off because Vice was already looking into him for who knows how long. But this was 2009, and he was never raided by local law enforcement, and it wasn't until 2014 that the feds raided him, and they accused him of running a prostitution ring since 2002. So at that point, it had been 12 years. The Vice Unit in Las Vegas that was supposedly investigating him never made an arrest or searched any of his properties. Now, after the federal charges were brought against him, he pled guilty and ended up serving about 2.5 years as part of a plea deal. But would he have taken it to trial if a certain witness didn't die mysteriously? Josie Jones, a high fashion model seen here pictured on an advertisement for Guess in Las Vegas, was found dead in her home on October 17, 2021. And she was meant to be a witness in Molly Mall's case. But just 4 days after her death, he pled guilty in federal court and notably was only charged with unlawful prostitution and not sex trafficking, despite the fact that one of his original charges was the use of an interstate facility in aid of unlawful activity, which, using the interstate to facilitate prostitution, is in itself sex trafficking. And the I-Team from News Now in Las Vegas even claimed that it was possible his plea deal to a lesser charge had something to do with police corruption.
Jamal Rashid, also known as Molly Mall, admitted he was a pimp in Las Vegas. He faced federal charges and pled guilty to use of an interstate facility in aid of unlawful activity. George Knapp first broke how there was an FBI investigation into alleged corruption at Metro's Vice Unit.
Sheriff Joe Lombardo insisting the unit has been cleaned up. No officers were charged. It appears Rashid's case is the only one to move forward as a result of that investigation.
And a woman who worked for him even told the news that she feared for her safety due to the corrupt police involved. And it's important to note that the Las Vegas Metro Police have only ever released one accountability report, which was in 2021 while the FBI was involved. And by 2023, the department stated that it would no longer release any results from internal investigations, essentially becoming one of the least transparent police departments in the country. And not to mention, for someone accused of selling hundreds of women, he got a very light sentence. And by this time, Judge Melanie had to step down from her position because she had been successfully compromised when she attempted to go after Shane Valentine herself. But 2 years later, in 2023, she would be found dead mysteriously in her home. Now, Melanie was pretty open with the press, and Dana Gentry, a blogger for the Nevada Current who knew Melanie, stated that before she died, Melanie told her that she was being followed, and that if she ended up dead, she didn't do it to herself, which is very interesting considering the fact that the Las Vegas police never investigated her death as a homicide.
Yeah, same. Totally. Saw mine. Great time. So, you know.
So what really happened? Why did Molly Mall get away with this for so long? And how does Shane Valentine avoid charges related to any of this? Because he was the person of interest in the 2016 double murder that Judge Melanie was also investigating, but the police cleared him. And despite Morgan Leavitt stating that Shane Valentine was on the scene when she was attacked, he once again avoided charges. Well, one piece of evidence that stood out is that right before his death, Nehemiah Kaufman, one of the victims in the double homicide, accused Valentine of being a police informant, which would make sense when you consider that Melanie accused vice detectives of working with pimps, and that would also help create a mutual relationship between Valentine and law enforcement. But something like this would of course not be public knowledge, so the only thing we have on that is an accusation. And this whole operation goes all the way to the FBI, with the daughter of the FBI's chief investigator in Nevada even being recruited in high school and then working as a sex worker for some time. And just due to her father's position, I have a hard time believing that she wasn't chosen deliberately.
Give yourself the gift of technology this holiday and easily share with friends and family. Give yourself more with the Kia Seltos.
Looking for any free ads? No, thank you.
For any of this being allowed to take place is the fact that the Las Vegas Valley features one of the most complicated and corrupt governments in the country. You have a mayor and a city council that run Las Vegas but have no authority on the Strip, which most people think is Las Vegas, but it's actually a completely separate town. And despite this, the Las Vegas police have authority in both, meaning that they have to report back to two different governments since a commission runs Paradise and the city council runs Las Vegas. And not to mention, 2022 featured probably one of the worst cases of an attack on free press in the country. There was a longtime journalist, Jeff German, that went around exposing corruption. So, while an elected public administrator for the county, Robert, was preparing for re-election, Jeff figured out that Robert, who was married, was having an affair with one of his staff members, who was also married. And they were even caught in the act on camera in a parking garage. So needless to say, this scandal hurt Robert's chance at re-election. In response to this, Robert went to Jeff's house and killed him. An elected official killed a member of the press for exposing his affair. This is the type of story you'd expect to hear in a third world country. The mob is running strip clubs, and pimps are running around creating their own mafias. But this is the Wild West, and they don't call it that for no reason. And if all of this has been taking place over the last 20 years, you can only imagine what's going on now in 2026. How long before the pimps have a monopoly on the daughters of law enforcement officials? How long before we discover that another person connected in the music industry is sex trafficking here? And will the FBI ever step back in to investigate the Vice unit? Who knows? But one thing you can bet on is that not much will ever really change. And as always, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Alright, that's a crazy one from Travis University. So it's this channel that makes those videos. See? So check them out. It's good stuff. I think this is gonna be a good one. I guess I found these like old Bell Labs films, so it's pretty sick stuff. Just talking about things. explaining stuff very well. It's kind of impressive. All right, let's get through these ads. For some reason, all my tabs are muted. But
It's all been very interesting. And now if you'd just tell us...
Wait a minute. I have a question. You have been splitting time smaller and smaller. Now, is there any limit to how small time can be split?
If there is such a limit, it would be shorter than the time it takes light, which is the fastest thing we know, to go across the smallest piece of matter, which is an atomic particle. This would be approximately 1/millionth of a billionth of a billionth of a second.
Well, they wouldn't want to split it any smaller than that.
Certainly they would. If they could. Wouldn't they?
Yes, if they could. You see, if there is a limit to how small time can be split, it would mean that time is not a continuous flow, but is made up of little pieces.
What is an SOP? So here's a misconception. A lot of people think an SOP is just a boring manual that nobody ever reads. But that's
so time is definitely just made up of little tiny pieces, because that just happened. And then I forgot my mic off, so yeah, this is very informative. It's kind of wild. It's like 1960 stuff, but yeah, kind of wild.
Little pieces of time. It's unbelievable.
That's because our feeling of time is limited. We can grasp only those intervals we're familiar with. Seconds at one end of the scale, hours, days, months, and at the other end, the number of years in a lifetime. This is a very small range in the middle of the vast scale of time. The infinitesimal fractions of seconds at one end and the billions of years at the other. We say that the age of the Earth is 4.5 billion years, but how long is that? Let's consider.
Never thought of time like that. As like made up of pieces, and then like you can break up 1 billion years into 500 million years. It's like, yeah, of course you can, but it's like, what are all those years made up of? Are they made up of like a year, or like half a year, or like 10 years, or like 45,000 years, that kind of thing? Like, what's the chunk? Because like we know what like a photon is and how much energy is in a photon, because it's like a packet. So like, what's a packet of time? If that's what I kind of get from this.
Consider the life of the Earth in terms of what went on, what happened, what changed. Since it's difficult to relate our feeling of time to large numbers, let's squeeze the age of the Earth into one 24-hour day. We begin at midnight, 4.5 billion years ago. It's a long time, say 2 o'clock in the afternoon, before any life at all appears on the Earth. At 7 p.m., life begins leaving remains in the form of fossils. Dinosaurs develop at 11 p.m. Only 1 hour left to go in our Earth day. And now, at just 2 seconds before midnight, the human species first appears on Earth. In the last tenth of a second, the entire 6,000 years of civilization since the early Mesopotamians and ancient Egyptians takes place. And in
I never
the
thought
last
of
1,000th
like
of a
that.
second before
That's kind of
midnight,
crazy.
there are the 2 world wars.
But there's one thing that bothers me. If people weren't even around most of that time, how do they know what went on and when?
Perhaps a geologist should tell you about it. This is Dr. Gerald J. Wasserberg.
The events in our natural history and the times at which they occurred can all be told from rocks. By examining the fossils, the minerals, the makeup of the rocks, we can tell what happened and the sequence in which these events happened. By using radioactive elements as our clocks, we can answer the question, when did certain events happen? We know, for example, that in 4.5 billion years, 1/2 of the uranium in a rock turns into lead. By measuring the proportions of uranium and lead in a given rock, billion years, we know, for example, that in 4.5 billion years.
Oh, so that's how they know how old the Earth is. Interesting.
1/2 of the uranium in a rock turns into lead. By measuring the proportions of uranium and lead in a given rock, we can figure how long it took for that amount of lead to form. This gives us the date at which the rock solidified. In this way, we have been gathering information on the age of the Earth, its eras, and its epochs.
They see all that in rocks?
Yes, rocks hold the secret of our past. They're the only history of the Earth. It's all there in the rocks, waiting for man to discover. Some places, nature has given man an opportunity to see the changes that have taken place over vast periods of time by exposing a sequence of layers, preserving for us a long record of Earth history. Records that show there were once deep waterways where mountains now stand, large land masses that have been lost to the seas, and the Earth is still changing. The same forces that have changed the face of the Earth in the past are still at work. Wind, rain, rivers,
Air,
glaciers, earthquakes, and volcanoes. How will the Earth look in the eons to come? If the Earth has a past of 4.5 billion years, what is its future? We can only guess, but the vast time of the past is small compared to the far greater expanse of time that is the future.
We've gone from a millionth of a billionth of a billionth of a second to billions of years.
Well, that certainly covers time.
Do you know what I like about time? It has order. It has mathematical precision. One can almost see time evenly flowing throughout the universe.
I don't think
Very
so.
interesting that you should describe time that way.
I don't think
Thank
so.
you.
That idea of time was accepted as scientific truth on Earth.
Very good thinking, sir.
A long time ago.
Accepted, that is, until the beginning of the 20th century.
Just what do you mean by that?
Time is no longer considered absolute. It is not the same everywhere.
It's not linear.
You mean that the same time
So-
here is not the same time there?
Correct.
And that the same time is not flowing everywhere?
Correct.
No, I'm afraid it isn't.
That's
You're
why-
fired with 0 severance.
Leave the payback to Witten and Lublin.
That's what
You
we keep
better not be
getting
using all
ads.
the Old Spice.
And yes, of course.
Wow. Everywhere?
No, I'm afraid it isn't.
It's like if you're having a slow day, it's because you're in a slow
How
patch
does
of
that look
time,
to you?
and then it's a fast day. It's just fast part of time.
They're moving too fast.
See,
How does it look now?
too slow.
Too slow.
You mean that one group's moving slower and the other's moving faster than we are?
Well, yes. We're moving normally, but they're not.
But if you were with those people,
They'd
moving
be
at their
normal.
rate of speed, either fast or slow, it would seem normal to you.
And I couldn't tell?
Not if everything conformed to that rate. Speed an object falls, that water pours, the speed you talk and think, everything. When we look at those people moving at different time rates, they look peculiar to us. They look peculiar to each other. And to them, people moving in our time rate would look peculiar.
Relativistic.
Well, that was an interesting demonstration, but I still can't believe that in real life, time could flow at different rates.
The scientists have found that time rates are actually different under certain circumstances.
Well, under what circumstances?
Well, for one, the faster anything moves, the slower the time rate for everything connected with it.
You'd better tell me that again.
All
Yeah.
right. Just imagine people traveling in a spaceship at almost the speed of light. They'd be living in a much slower time rate than we are.
Well, I guess we don't. Do
They
we know
would.
how fast we're going in space? We're sharing these
How did they
things.
figure that out?
It all began with a famous experiment made back in 1887 by two American physicists, A.A. Michelson and E.W. Morley. They wanted to measure how fast the Earth is moving through space. So they set up an experiment based on a simple principle we all know well from everyday experience.
We do.
Well, let me show you. Now, suppose we're in a moving car. A train going in the same direction passes us much more slowly than it does when we're going in opposite directions. In fact, the actual passing speed is simply the addition or subtraction of our speeds. It was this principle that Michelson and Morley tried to use in their experiment. Only instead of sitting in a moving car, they sat in their laboratory on the moving Earth. And instead of a train, they used light. By comparing the speed of the
Okay.
light in various directions,
getting there.
they hoped to measure the speed of the Earth.
And
Well, what happened?
There was no effect. The light
Wait,
seemed to travel
what?
in the same speed no matter which direction it was going. In other words, it looked as if the Earth is standing still.
That's impossible, isn't it? I thought it goes around the sun.
Yes, they've known that for 400 years.
well,
So scientists went right on making more
Matrix breaking?
experiments to detect the motion of the Earth through space, but none showed any effect.
How did they explain their way out of that one?
Among those who proposed explanations was a young clerk in the Swiss patent office named
never
Albert
heard
Einstein.
this come up.
He said, of course the Earth is moving, but the laws of nature must be so constituted that there's no way to detect it or to prove you're moving without comparing or relating to something outside that isn't moving along with you.
That's true.
This is the principle of relativity.
So if everything's
Einstein's
moving with us,
Theory of relativity.
then we can't really tell.
The first part of his theory, it's really not so hard to
Or if
believe.
everything's
For
moving,
example,
we can't
in a
tell
plane flying at a
how
uniform
fast we're
speed
moving.
without any bumps or turns, you can't tell you're moving without looking out of the window.
So, in order
we're
for Michelson and
moving
Morley
so
not to be able to
fast
tell
that
the
we
Earth was moving,
can't tell we're
the
moving.
light had to travel the same speed in either direction.
And that was the second part of Einstein's theory. He said that light would always be observed to travel at the same speed, no matter how fast or in what direction you were going.
You mean, if I were in a very fast spaceship, a beam of light would seem to pass me just as fast as it would you on the ground?
That's right. Sounds impossible, doesn't it?
Not
But
really.
Einstein explained it by pointing out that the only possible way that two people traveling at different speeds can both measure the speed of light the same is that their measuring devices have become different because of the difference in their speeds. And so they have different senses of time and space. For example, if you were in a spaceship, to me on the ground, your clock would seem to be running slower than mine.
Hey, Eddie here. Just use a wax deodorant. New dance move, bro?
I don't want to get any white marks on my... Let's try it, huh?
All right. With some simple animation, let's see why the clock in a spaceship traveling near the speed of light and the clock on the Earth measure time differently. Now here's a simple clock, a hollow transparent rod, a mirror on each end, and a beam of light bouncing from one end to the other. The beeps tick off regular intervals, same as any clock. Now we have two of them. One is put in the spaceship and one kept on the ground. To the man on Earth, his clock continues to run at the same rate. But when he looks at the spaceship going by, the action of the light in that clock looks like this.
I think I see what's happening.
Perhaps it'll be even clearer and slow. Because the spaceship is moving past the Earthman, the light appears to him to travel diagonally to get from one end of the clock to the other.
Yeah.
Because the light goes further, it takes longer between ticks. And from the Earthman's point of view, the spaceman's clock is running slower.
Through space.
The man in the spaceship must think his clock is crazy.
I would certainly think so.
Well, let's see. Inside the speeding spaceship, the spaceman looks at his clock. It seems perfectly normal to him, just like it did on Earth. His sense of time is different. Everything is changed proportionately, so that strange things would have had to happen. Weights would increase, lengths would change, all in perfect proportion, so that he wouldn't notice any change, and so that everything would seem perfectly normal.
Is it so important that everything seem normal?
Remember the first part of Einstein's guess? The principle of the laws of nature are so constituted that you can't tell you're moving without relating to something that isn't moving along with you. Then everything in the spaceship must seem perfectly normal, or else the spaceman could tell he was moving. With our light clock, it's easy to see how this effect increases as your speed approaches the speed of light. It's the same with everything in motion. But in our normal lives, we never get anywhere near speeds great enough to show this effect.
With our talk about that spaceship, is it possible that people may someday travel near the speed of light?
At the moment, it's pretty remote. But based on Einstein's theory, it's fun to conjecture what would happen.
At the same speed as you.
Here is a story of identical twins living in the Einsteinian future. Our twins, Peter and Paul. They're having an argument over who's to have the honor of being the first Earthman to travel to the distant star, Arcturus, and back.
I want you to have the honor. No, you deserve it. See you in 60 years.
Although Peter was 83, he didn't want to miss his brother's moment of glory. Yes, compared to his brother, Paul was still a young man.
He doesn't look 83.
He isn't. Traveling near the speed of light, he aged less.
Oh, yes. Time slowed down.
That's right. The closer he came to the speed of light, the more Paul's heartbeats, with their periodic motion measuring time, would slow down, along with his rate of breathing and other body processes. Paul wouldn't notice, though, because his watch would slow down to the same degree.
How do you know that Einstein guessed right and his theory is really true?
Well, let's ask a physicist. Dr. Richard Feynman of the California Institute of Technology.
In the laboratory, we can get atomic particles to go nearly at the speed of light. And so far, all the effects predicted by Einstein show up. For example, particles which are unstable and disintegrate do last longer when they're moving than when they're standing still. Einstein's theory of relativity has radically transformed man's picture of the universe. It has upset our traditional ideas about time and space. And someday we may upset them once again because we're still learning. What determines the direction of time? What distinguishes past from future? And what exactly is the present? Is now the same for everyone?
That's a good question. What is now?
Doctor, is now the same for everyone?
No.
I was afraid of that.
Well, thanks for the use of the planet.
Oh, wait, please. You're not going to leave me now, are you? I mean, we've gone all the way from shadow on the ground to
Sundials and pendulums.
and from atomic clocks
To suns, moons, stars. From time that was fixed.
to time that is relative.
We've come a long way.
Yes. But now I have more questions than ever.
Good. The more we learn, the more questions we have. In the beginning, you had only one question. What time is it?
That's right. Well, where do I set the hands of the clock?
Oh, that. You can set them any place you want.
You mean because I'm the king?
No. Wherever you decide to set a clock in the beginning is more or less arbitrary. However, once you've set it, that becomes your time, and all your clocks must be synchronized.
Well, thank you.
Now we can set our clock.
What? Why? I mean, I guess this is the 60s, so they didn't really have digital clocks. And I guess you wouldn't have anywhere to go to like set your watch at like a standard time. Maybe radio? I don't know. Be like, this is the time. Set it. What if you miss that? Because you missed the time. Because your watch died.
Sir? Well, for our purpose, that sort of winds up the story of Planet Q. But the story of time is just beginning. Stretching before us are who knows what complexities, perplexities, mysteries. How did time start? We don't know. Did the universe begin with a big bang 10 billion years ago? Some physicists and astronomers think so. But others ask the question, did the universe even have a beginning? Or has it been going on forever? Will it ever? Some 20 billion years from now, when our sun burns itself out and explodes into oblivion?
Kashi Crunchy Bars and Layered Fruit Bars are proudly made in Canada with real, simple ingredients like fruit purees, dark chocolate, and chia seeds. They're oh so tasty. Kashi, full of flavor, full of life.
Will time stop?
4 minutes. It's just 4 minutes.
Or will we just sit cooler and cooler, longer and longer, without light, without warmth, in the fathomless depths of space? These are questions which baffle astrophysicists, cosmologists, many men of science, men whose minds and imaginations are even now uncovering clues to the mystery of time, which has perplexed mankind for centuries. What time is it? The answer may be phrased in terms of molecular action, the laws of nature. But more directly, what time is it is a question of our everyday lives, the contraction of our arteries and our lungs, the beating of our hearts, the measure of our todays, our tomorrows, our lifetime. As written in Ecclesiastes, to everything there is a season, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together, a time to every purpose under heaven.
The Bell system is grateful to the many distinguished scientists who helped prepare this story of time. Our thanks to those who supplied and checked the scientific content, and to the individuals and organizations who provided special material. Our thanks to the Advisory Board, which reviews the scientific aspects of these programs. Its members represent the broad range of modern science: biology and genetics, medicine, bacteriology and botany, chemistry, geophysics, physics, anthropology, electronics and acoustics.
Hey, there's a Dr. Clyde.
Mathematics, engineering. To all these men, the Bell system is indebted for their support of this venture in public education through entertainment.
I appreciate the work they did. If you didn't think that was real, here's the credits. Eliminate AI credits. Which is actually kind of well, I think probably gonna end it right there. So, hope everyone has a great night. See you tomorrow and Friday. Bye.